Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of SCM Talk Show, Season 4. As you all know, the last episode was on supply chain, all road leads to technology. This episode is on the impact of Logistics Performance Index. Many of you would know LPI on the Indian supply chain. So let us talk about that. Topics have been chosen from your responses to the survey that we sent. And also we look at the availability of good speakers. So it depends on both. As usual, this session will be recorded and is being recorded right now. And this will be made available, the recording will be made available for free on KnoWerX mobile app as well as on KnoWerX YouTube channel. So you can, see the or talk show, or you can forward the talk show also, a link of the talk show. Like our earlier practice, we are putting everyone on listen only mode. And like all other previous times, please submit your questions in the chat box. We will take few most asked questions towards the end of this session if the time permits. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Dhritiman Chakraborty. Dhritiman is Director of Operations at Ingram Micro India Limited. He is responsible for overseeing the company's logistics operation and ensuring the smooth functioning of its supply chain. And I'm sure all of us, somewhere or the other, is touched by Ingram Micro's supply chain. We may not know, we may know, but we are all touched by Ingram Micro supply chain. He is certified supply chain professional CSCP from SCM with over 2 decades of experience in various verticals of supply chain. Dhritiman was awarded the Operations Leader of the Year IT&S 2022 by Inflection Award in Transnational Leader Distribution 2023 by SCM Forum. Dhritiman has held several leadership roles in supply chain with renowned companies such as Cadila Pharma, ITC, 𝐃𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐦𝐚 Chemicals, Merck Life Sciences. He has a keen understanding of the intricacies of supply chain management, has successfully implemented various strategies that have helped companies optimize their logistics and warehousing operations. A supply chain alumnus of IIM Kolkata, Dhritiman is also a lifetime member of Leaders Excellent at Harvard Square and Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transportation. He has been a keynote speaker and a panel speaker in many supply chain conferences and delivered subject delivery or driven talk in supply chain institutes. He is also teaching supply chain as a visiting faculty in an institute in Mumbai. In addition to his professional credentials, Dhritiman also is an accomplished author, trainer, and an ICF and John Mattoni certified IL executive coach. So welcome, Dhritiman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that was a very detailed introduction about me. So I think I have a very deep respect for you, specifically the superb work that you are doing in making supply chain popular in India through your training programs. I still remember one of your training program that I attended in 2017, which was SNOP.
Okay.
So you are a fantastic trainer. So it's my honor to be here talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And actually, thanks to you also for accepting our invitation to share your industry and practice-oriented experience and insight with our listeners. So can you briefly introduce Ingram Micro and the activities to begin with to all the audience? And we are sure that we are somewhere the other touched by Ingram Micro, but if you can briefly introduce Ingram Micro.
Yeah, surely. Thank you. Thank you for that question. So Ingram Micro, the way we talked about the organization is that, we as an organization, Ingram Micro ensures that it makes technology available to the masses. So who is Ingram Micro? We are a global leader in IT distribution. As an organization, the modus operandi for Ingram Micro is we bridge the gap between the manufacturer and the reseller. So we tell the manufacturer or the OEMs that, sir, you are expert in inventing new technology. You put your focus in that area, and the balance distribution part, you leave it to us. So the way in Ingram Micro world, we say that we have the capability to touch approximately 90% of global population as far as technology is concerned. We are not directly into the connecting with the consumer as such, because we are a B2B organization. But believe me, any technology product that anyone uses, somewhere or other, Ingram Micro has touched that particular product at a global level.
Absolutely.
So that's how we define Ingram Micro. In terms of our revenue, our global revenue in 2022 was $50.8 billion. And we have direct sales offices in 61 countries. But we sell our products in 200 countries globally. Approximately, say, 30,000 employees world over. And in terms of customers, we have around 16,000 customers. Sorry, 160,000 customers, not 16,000, 160,000 customers. And around 1,500 OEM manufacturers from whom we buy these products and then we distribute these products in the market. Yeah.
So who are your largest manufacturers who distribute you distribute for?
In terms of size, talking about the revenue per se, it is Apple is the biggest globally. Okay. And then we have Cisco, who is again one of the biggest. Then comes HP, Dell, Lenovo. So these are the big players in the market from a revenue contribution point of view.
All right. Yeah. So when you say IT products, you distribute hardware, software, both?
Yes, yes. Hardware, software, both. At the same time, we also have another division. We have a cloud services as well as professional services. So under professional services, any IT solution providing company, so they want to provide a solution to their customers. We come in between. We tell them that, okay, you give that entire responsibility to us in terms of bringing the right type of hardware and software so that you can satisfy your end customer. Okay. So we help them to provide a turnkey project kind of solution.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, that's what I said. Somehow, somewhere or the other, we are all touched by Ingram Micro. All touched by.
Yes, directly or indirectly.
Yeah,
you're right.
Directly or indirectly, absolutely. So let's start by introducing LPI to our audience. So can you please explain what is Logistics Performance Index? I'm sure many of us know, the audience, many of us in the audience would know, and many of the audience may not be aware about it. And after that, can you also explain how it is calculated?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So as you said, I'm sure that many of the audience would be aware of Logistic Performance Index because there has been a lot of talk about LPI recently in India, because I think India's score has improved, which is a very positive thing for all of us in the supply chain fraternity. We are actually celebrating that development in the LPI score for India. So for people who are not aware of, obviously LPI is something which was coined by World Bank. And this is a score which talks about the logistics capability, of a particular country in terms of how efficiently they move the goods across borders internationally, how they move the goods, what is the speed of moving that good, what is the reliability of the supply chain of that particular country as a whole. So that's what it measures. And there is a rating mechanism that they have with a score of 1 to 5.
Okay.
Which they do under 6 different dimensions. So there are 6 different dimensions that they calculate as a part of the LPI score. So these are, you have the customs performance. So that means within the country, how your import-export clearances happens. So how easy it is, right? Then they also look at your infrastructure capability in the country, both in terms of your road infrastructure, your seaports, airports infrastructure, etc. Then what is the ease of arranging the shipment? Okay, that means for a particular business who is operating in that country, how easily they can transport the goods, maybe within the country and internationally. So that's the ease of arranging for the shipments of that country. So that is also they do consider in terms of the measurement. They also consider the logistics services quality. So how is the service quality of logistics in the country, right? Many a times we talk about that this particular service provider is not that good in terms of the service quality. Another service provider possibly good. Now, when you sum it up for the country as a whole, you get a logistics services quality index for the country.
Okay.
And they also consider the tracking and tracing services, how easier it is or how difficult it is in your country to do the tracking and tracing. And finally, since we are talking about logistics, they do consider the timeliness, right? If you say that the material will be delivered from India to US in, say, if it is an air shipment within 10 days, within 5 days, are you actually keeping that promise of delivering it on time? So these are the 6 major factors that they consider under LPI score. And they've actually got a methodology, the way they collect the data. They collect the data from logistics professionals, like possibly us, all of us. So that means if from India, I am that person who is chosen for this survey,
okay,
then I'll be giving a rating against all these 6 parameters between 1 to 5 for my country based on my experience.
Okay.
So that will be, they will be collecting this data from the logistic professionals across the globe. And at the same time, they also cross-verify the response that comes with the data that is available with the local government.
Okay.
Possibly talking about India, I'm sure that Indian government in the government database, there will be certain data pieces that will be available regarding logistics activity that government is involved in. So that also they will collect. They will also collect information from some of the private companies, logistics companies, because their perspective also matters. If I'm a logistics service provider in India, how do I reckon the infrastructure facilities that is available? How do I reckon the digital development that has happened in my country, so on and so forth? And then on the basis of this rating, the final score is compared across the globe, and then the ranking happens for different countries. Yeah.
So when you said key factors, 6 key factors, do we have a lot of metrics within that? I mean, or these are only 6 metrics?
So these are the 6 major factors, but yes, in terms of their importance and criticality, they have actually given a certain percentage.
Okay.
Out of the 6 factors that your customs performance is considered to be the maximum percentage weightage, because you are talking about international ranking.
Okay.
And from an international ranking point of view, if a company in US wants to do transaction with India, the way they will measure the first thing is how easier it is to process your shipment through the customs, Indian customs.
Okay.
So in terms of percentage, they consider around 25% weightage out of 100% to customs. Then I think it's around 15% each kind of. So that's the kind of weightage that they have given between these 6 different parameters.
So it looks like that customs is under tremendous pressure to improve their performance.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So let me ask you one question. How has India's LPI score improved over the last few years, and what are the factors that have contributed to the improvement? So what have we done better? And so this is, I would like to ask you. So what have we done correctly?
Yeah, I think obviously India's score has improved. So when we look at 2014, I think it was 54th. Then in 2018, it was 44th. And then recent score that has come, that is 38.
Oh,
so we have
wow.
jumped by 6 levels.
My God.
Among 139 countries. That is a very good news.
Very good.
But
very
having,
good.
but having said that, obviously, government's target is to take it further ahead, and I'm sure there will be a lot of actions that will be taken. Now, if we look at that, what exactly impacted this improvement in the scoring? Some of the factors which I'm sure that it is obvious to most of us in this call, and you are seeing the development in the infrastructure. We are seeing the investment that is being made in the infrastructure. In a recent conference, there was some government officials came and they were actually talking about the projects that government is working on developing road infrastructure, rail infrastructure, the port infrastructure, etc. And that is visible. So if I am a person who is actually chosen for participating in the LPI score survey, and in India, I'm seeing all these things are happening. Obviously, I'll be rating much higher compared to what I used to rate maybe 10 years back. Yeah.
Correct.
And then obviously, from government side, they're adopting the technology, which is a very positive thing. Because look at 10, 15 years back, we were actually cursing the government machinery saying that why you are not becoming digital.
Yeah.
Right? People were not interested. They were very reluctant in the government machinery to use technology. But today, scenario has changed. Scenario has changed surprisingly. I mean, you people, if you look at the way the government has adopted technology, specifically for supply chain tracking, as a part of our national logistics policy, it's really surprising. Many of the private companies have not thought of that kind of a technology. So that's really fantastic. And I think that has got a big way in terms of improving the scoring for India. The third factor which I considered, and that is thanks to the growth of e-commerce industry in India. It may be not by choice, but by compulsion.
Okay.
All the companies are now thinking of how to give the product quickly to the customer, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that has compelled many companies to improve their logistics speed.
Amazon and Flipkart are the benchmark now.
Oh yes. Yeah. They're actually pushing all other companies. I'm talking about the non-e-commerce companies also. They are pushing them to improve the speed of delivery to the customers. So I think these are the things which has led to this improvement.
Absolutely correct. I also used to think 20 years back, there is a saying in Hindi called Diye Tale Andhera. We will go and develop IT systems for the whole world, but we will not use it. So that was the situation, many years back. But I think now the government has become very aggressive. And other thing that my personal observation is that, when you used to import study material from the US, it used to take long time in clearance and shipments, and so after implementing of this EDI system, okay, that's become quite fast. So that I have my own personal experience that I can say that. So let me ask you, I mean, I'm sure everything is not hunky-dory. So, what are the still challenges we have in India, and what do you see are the impediments as compared to, I don't know who's number one, number two, number three. I don't know about that, but in LPI. But how do we compare against that, and what are our bottlenecks?
Sir, I think one bottleneck, which is one of the major bottleneck, I will say that still the cost of logistics in India is high. There can be multiple reasons for that, and there are work happening in terms of infrastructure development, digitization, etc. But yes, the benefit of that will take some time to come. So till now, when we are speaking, still a cost of logistics in India is a concern. Now, if you look at the global average, obviously they're talking about 14% is India's cost, wherein the global average for the top countries in terms of logistics performance is around 7 to 8%. So there is a gap of around 6 to 7% with the world's best. That's very high.
That's high. Yeah.
For a 100 rupees product, if 6 to 7 rupees is the difference, that means that much I'm behind in terms of competition in the global market from a cost point of view.
Correct.
So that may impact in a big way in terms of the overall economic development of the country, right? So obviously that's a big challenge that I will consider. The other thing that is still there, sir, is I think in terms of the transparency in the logistics sector, that is still a challenge. And we are still a fragmented industry. We work in a fragmented industry. Majority of the logistics in India is still works in an unorganized sector.
Yeah.
Now, since we have the cost as a challenge, I might go to a logistics service provider who gives me an economical rate. But in the process, I'm actually doing a negotiation here, negotiating with the type of visibility, transparency in the process.
Yeah, quality.
I hand over the shipment to the carrier, and then I don't know the whereabouts about the shipment. I keep on calling his first person, second person, third escalation, etc. And then I have to cut a sorry figure to the customer, so on and so forth. So from a transparency point of view also, I think there is a lot of improvement that has to happen. Once more and more organized players are there who are able to give us economical service, but at a good quality, I think that level of logistics will improve in India as a result of that. And
so I'm sure please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the last point in terms of, I think, challenge, which again, I'm sure many people who are a part of this particular talk here, they are serious about that part, which is the skill development.
Yeah.
And that is the reason they are here. So that is still one area wherein a lot of work has to happen.
Right.
Work is happening thanks to people like you who are actually doing a lot of good work in developing the supply chain skill in India. Because I remember 15, 20 years back, there was no course on supply chain.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You are not doing anything, you are doing supply chain kind of.
No, I think you are absolutely right. Majority of the workforce in India have not been, formally trained in supply chain.
Exactly.
They are just there because they are just there. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, so they've learned everything on the job. There is no formal training as per se. So that is, I think, quite much required. And as you rightly said, in logistics and transportation segment, that gap is still much bigger as compared to, let's say, manufacturing or distribution. Yeah. Wonderful. So I think the cost must have improved also. 14% may have been, I don't know, 18 or 20 sometime back, or I don't know what. But we still have a long way to go. So how can our government and even private sector, they can help, they can work together to improve this LPI?
Yeah, I think obviously, as we discussed, that there are some good work is happening from government side. But yes, with private-public partnership, I think we can achieve more. You are very right in asking that question. There are a lot of areas wherein I think both government and from private point of view, if there is a partnership, we'll be able to improve the performance. Talking about the infrastructure, now from government side, there are certain programs that are there as a part of our Project 𝐾𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐦𝐚, the National Logistics Policy, etc. There's the kind of development in the road infrastructure that's happening. That's I mean, unthinkable.
Yeah.
So just imagine the type of transit time that is going to reduce between Mumbai and Delhi after this road is ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll drive from Mumbai to Delhi. It'll be fun.
Just imagine how much it will reduce the logistics cost, overall logistics cost. So
absolutely.
So I think from government side, we should thank that good work is happening. But I'm sure that there has to be a continuous dialogue between government and industry so that there is no lethargic attitude in the process.
Yeah.
So industry should keep on pushing for development, because at the end of the day, as a citizen of this country, we have all the right to demand that. So we should keep on demanding that.
Yeah.
And the other thing wherein private can work, because I'm sure that many of us, when we travel across the country for logistics related work, we have warehouses at completely outside the main city,
Yeah.
And many of these warehouses, you will see that near to the warehouse, the road is in a very, very bad shape. When rain comes, flood comes, you will see that that road will get inundated. Now, one way we are expecting government to make Delhi-Mumbai highway. On the other hand, as a logistics service provider or a person who is investing his money in the logistics to gain profit is not ready to take care of that road in front of his warehouse. That person is not ready to put a street light in front of his warehouse. And we are thinking that it is everything government is going to do. Okay. So that's where the requirement of the partnership that comes. Because I think there has to be a change in the mindset that has to happen within the private also. Then again, I think in terms of improving the transparency, both private and government partnership has to be there, because government has given a 𝐸𝐴𝐵 as a platform, right, for improving the transparency, improving the visibility of the shipment, etc. I doubt how many private organizations are actually aware of 𝐸𝐴𝐵 and how many private organizations have actually created their login ID under 𝐸𝐴𝐵. So that's again, I think.
This is, I also learned something new about 𝐸𝐴𝐵. What is that?
So in the 𝐸𝐴𝐵 website, there is an opportunity of getting updates about your shipments, because obviously that is connected with multiple different government machineries, government departments. So you get an update about your shipment, and these are connected through API connectivity. So what you need to do as an organization, you need to register your organization under that, and you'll be given a login ID and password. Okay. And then whatever the API is available there, depending on your requirement, you can connect to some of those APIs to get that information and data which is available there. So that's a very good tool.
So are you talking about IoT connectivity in the whole process?
It's a API connectivity. Okay. Now, once you do the API connectivity, you bring the data that you can connect to your IoT within your organization to make sense of the data, utilize the data, etc.
Okay. So actually, how bullish we are on technology. I mean, India, on technology, and where are the pitfalls of our technology?
But yes, talking about technology, obviously, there are opportunities, but the question always comes in terms of my ROI in technology.
Yeah, that's been, I think, a big thing. Big debate, I think.
That is a big debate.
I think customers want transporters to invest and transporters want customer to invest, so that's been a constant fight there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think here, there are two parts of it which I'd like to just touch upon. One part is you may become too excited and invest heavily in technology without realizing that whether that level of technology is needed for your type of operation or not.
Right.
So that may be one extreme. Yeah. And if you go to that extreme, and if you don't get the ROI, tomorrow you will curse the automation. Tomorrow you will curse the technology. The technology is bad. It has eaten away all my profit.
Right.
On the other hand, on the other extreme is I'm so much worried about the ROI that I'm looking at a return within 6 months.
Correct.
Now again, that might be another extreme, wherein most of this technological investment will take some breathing time to start giving you a return, which goes to around, depending on the type of investment, 1 year to 3 years to 5 years.
Yeah.
So what is needed for Indian organization is a balanced approach, wherein you have to take small pilots of bringing in automation in your system. If you look at what kind of opportunities available in the market, so I was reading one article in Gartner. They have coined a new term called hyper automation. So in hyper automation, they're actually talking about that you combined 2-3 different digital technologies together to create a hyper automation for your operation. Your processes like the robotic process automation, which is RPA. Many people are aware of that.
Yeah.
Then the data mining technologies and combining with machine learning technology. So all put together, you can create a hyper automation system in your organization, which will actually bring in a lot of improvement in your processes by cutting down your manual activities, starting from your back office operation, wherein you punch your orders, till your warehouse activity and logistics activity. Now, whether you should go for hyper automation in the first place, maybe not. Maybe you should only start with RPA of automating some of your processes that today you do in Excel sheet, right? And you have put 10 people to run 10 different Excel sheets. Instead of that, do the RPA. Maybe the job of 10 people will come down to only 2 people. And those 8 people will be able to do some other value-added activities.
So what are the implications of LPI on Indian supply chain? Forget about imported, as you rightly said about import, export and all that outside. How about it within India?
Now, if we look at the implication of the LPI in India, and I will look at it from a positive point of view, saying that LPI is improving, not that LPI is going down. If the LPI improves, what happens for India? Obviously, if the LPI improves, understand that the global community is looking at India's score. So when the global community is looking at India's score and India's score improves, it's a good thing for India because that will attract foreign investment.
More, yeah.
That foreign investment may happen in manufacturing companies, may also happen specifically in Indian logistics sector. And what happens when that investment comes to Indian logistics sector? That means the logistics sector gets more money to put it back into the logistics development. So that is a very good thing for India. And obviously, I mean, if LPI score improves, then the logistics performance develops. That would mean good for people who are looking for job in industry.
Yeah.
I'm sure with more investment that will create more jobs, specifically in the logistics industries. Our cost will come down. If our cost come down, our bottom line improves. With more profit margin, companies will become more efficient, right? We will have less number of cases of startups not being able to successful because of high logistics cost.
Yeah.
Now, because we know that more number of startups nowadays are coming in the e-commerce segment. There are a lot of players are coming in, and for them it is so difficult to compete because of the extreme level of logistics expenses involved in the e-commerce industry.
Okay.
So if that cost comes down, I'm sure that this will be a very good thing for overall growth of Indian economy.
Thanks for your answer. So now, what can we do? How the new generation, the ones which is more formally educated on supply chain, what can new generation of supply chain leaders contribute towards improvement of LPI for India to becoming the future leader?
Sir, I think in India, there is a requirement of moving to a data-driven decision making. So my suggestion to all the young leaders would be that start using the data more often, because it is the data which will be able to improve your efficiency and chances of success for your logistics. Many a times, I mean, obviously 15, 20 years back, we used to take decisions basis gut feeling.
Yeah.
So any question was there, we used to ask the eldest person in the office that what do you think? And basis that we used to make decisions. But today that will not work, because the market has become so dynamic that anything you think that this is how I'm going to run my business for the next 1 year, you'll be surprised because in the next 3 months something new will come in the market and your strategy will be challenged.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think data-driven decision making is one thing which needs to be adopted, and also ensure that today we globally we are talking about a lot regarding sustainability in supply chain, and ensure that you embrace sustainable practices in whatever actions you are taking. Today or tomorrow, this will become a mandatory requirement in logistics decisions. And that may impact your brand image in the market also, right?
Absolutely.
So that is another thing that I think needs to be considered. The third important aspect is please collaborate with other people in the logistics industry. Like this particular collaboration, this is a very good opportunity for collaborating with others, because through such collaboration, we learn from each other's what's happening in the market, and thereby those learnings we apply in our businesses. And through that application, if there is an improvement that happens in logistics in my organization, at the end of the day, I'm also contributing to improving LPI score in India, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sum total of all of these things
Absolutely.
will be the repercussions of what is the score that India will be getting, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All of us contribute, all of us, in some way or the other, many ways.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What advice you have for all our listeners to accelerate their career growth in logistics, transportation, warehousing, and distribution? Because I think in the future, I think logistics in India is going to grow very, very rapidly. How they should be prepared? What should they do to, encash this opportunity?
Yeah. So first and foremost, obviously, if you don't have a formal, excuse me for that, on Friday, we have this thing in the office.
Okay.
So I think the first and foremost thing, if you do not have a formal education in supply chain, I will request, please get that formal education. It really helps. It'll improve your confidence tomorrow when you are sitting, along with some other global supply chain professionals within your organization. It'll give you confidence to talk on your supply chain. And the good thing with the education that is available today, that education you can gain by sitting at your office or sitting at your home also. That is the best part.
Right. Yeah.
So please get that certification. And although Mr. Ravindra has not asked me to talk about this, I can talk openly. I'll take the liberty to talk about this. But that his institute is doing a lot of good work in this area.
Thank you so much.
In case you are interested, please check that what is the right kind of certification for you. Another big thing that has happened today, there was a time wherein the supply chain itself was not available as a course.
Right. Yeah.
But today, as we are speaking, within supply chain, you have different branches.
Absolutely. Yeah. Supply chain has become very big field, very big.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on your interest in supply chain area, try to see that which particular certification is the right certification for you, and which will give you enough theoretical knowledge, which coupled with your practical knowledge will take you to places, because that is something which is need of the hour. Now, along with that, I'd like to add few more things. I think the practical knowledge has to be obtained, because only theoretical knowledge will not help you.
That will not help. Yeah.
So many a times I get requests from people who wants to shift from another function to supply chain, because nowadays there's a lot of interest level have increased in the area of supply chain.
Yes.
People from sales function, marketing function, they're actually wanting to come to supply chain.
Yeah.
So my request to them always is that before you try your, apply for a position in supply chain domain, first of all, try to get involved in a project opportunity that is available in an organization. Even though you are working in sales, or you are working in finance, or you're working in marketing, etc., try to get involved in a project, gain the practical knowledge. Yeah. Because otherwise the industry will not value you if you don't have any practical knowledge, or you won't have any material to talk about. Yeah. So that thing is important. Third thing, again, I'll repeat the same thing, which is collaboration and networking. with the experts. So because supply chain is something that you need to keep on learning. If you have done a certification in 2010, 2012, you think that that is enough? No, it's not enough. Because what was right in 2010 and 2012 is no longer right today.
Yeah. You have to keep on learning, continuously.
Yes, yeah. Continuously keep on learning by connecting with the experts, collaborate with people, network with people. That is very important.
Thank you, Dhritiman. Actually, we have some questions from listeners, so I think I'll hand over at this point of time to Nishtush to share most asked questions one by one. So I think their queries will be answered. So they will get benefited by your experience and knowledge. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Nishtush, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, taking it over. And thank you so much for such an informative session, such discussion, and thank you for appreciating KnoWerX also, sir. I'll take questions from the audience now. So we have a question from, but I'm not able to see the name. The question is, can we apply? Okay, it's from Manoj. So can we apply these parameters? So we spoke about the parameters and matrices in the starting of the session. So it's regarding that. Can we apply these parameters matrix at organization level as a KPI to measure performance?
Okay, so the question is whether these parameters can be applied within the organization to measure the performance. Oh yes, of course. Yes. And I'm sure that many organizations are already measuring this, right? Now, in terms of customs clearance, you might not be able to measure it how government is doing, but I'm sure that you measure what is the dwell time for your imports and exports, what is the clearance time, etc. You are already doing it, right? In terms of your, okay, excuse me for that. So hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So the other parameters also, most of the organizations, they do actually measure in terms of the logistics quality. What is the performance of your service provider? You have your KPIs to measure the performance of your service provider in terms of how many shipments got delivered on time, how many shipments were damaged and breakage in transit, right? In terms of the safety and security of the products. You also have measurements wherein you check that whether traceability and trackability of your shipment is possible through your logistics service provider or not. Infrastructure also, you have your own parameters. So I'm saying that obviously the nature of the parameter may be different, but within the organization also, organizations do measure these parameters.
Perfect. I think that does answer the question. We'll move on to the next question. It's from Mr. Asif Khan. So first of all, he has a comment for KnoWerX. He says, really appreciate KnoWerX management for picking up a very demanding topic. And then he says, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay. So the question is, how do you see or validate KPI data manipulation by LSPs? Because it's distinct reality claiming 100% SLA is almost impossible because India's infrastructure of logistics service is unpredictable. Sometimes because of external factor also. So how do you validate this KPI or data manipulation?
So that's where we were actually talking about the requirement of tracing and tracking your shipments, because obviously the data cannot lie, although to an extreme extent there are still possibilities. But once you're tracking and tracing your shipments and you have some sort of digital capability to do that activity, you are not dependent fully on your logistics service provider to just send you an Excel sheet at the end of the month saying that this is my performance. So obviously that was the way performance was being tracked, right? Logistics transporters used to send you an MIS report at the end of the month. Sir, this is the report, and as per this, look at my performance, 95% on time. And we didn't have much of an option other than just accepting it, unless and until you and I have received a customer complaint specifically. And customer has mentioned that this shipment, which was supposed to be received on 10th of the month, I have received 15 on the month. And then during the discussion, I bring that up to the service provider. See, my customer has complained. And you are talking about 10th, you have delivered. You have not delivered on 10th. Other than that, we didn't have much of a choice. But today, with the advent of technology, with tracking and tracing service, you are able to track the shipment status live with most of the A-grade carriers. I'm talking about A-grade carriers, obviously, carriers who are actually technologically advanced. So if you hand over a shipment to them, they will actually show from one particular hub when the shipment has reached to another hub in transit. They are supposed to do a inbound check. That means a scan has to happen. Once they do the scan in your tracking and tracing system, you'll be able to see that from Mumbai, the shipment has now reached Ahmedabad. And from there, when they scan out, you know that now the shipment is out. So that means you are able to assess the performance in a live manner. If you have any doubt, you can actually pick up the call immediately and then talk to your service provider. This shipment was supposed to leave from your Ahmedabad in 2 hours, but I'm seeing that I'm not seeing any outscan for the last 10 hours. What's happening? That helps you to validate the performance that they claim about in terms of their score or performance or on-time delivery. Hope that answers.
Definitely it does, I believe. An excellent point there. So for the next question, I have a hand raised from Mr. Harshit. So Mr. Harshit, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Dhritima. Could you please tell me which tools you used for RPA?
For RPA, so RPA, there is no specific tool. You need to get in touch with the right service provider. You can do it through your own within the organization IT team, or you can take it from the third-party service providers. The technical part of it, I may not be able to actually explain about because I'm not a technical person. That how technically they do it. Like in our organization, some of the processes we have converted into RPA. So what we have done is there are certain activities that were downloading a report from our ERP system, and that data we were copying and pasting in an Excel sheet, and from that Excel sheet we were deriving some meaning of that data, and that data was presented to the management. So what we have done, we have converted that activity of downloading that data from the ERP, doing the analysis in the Excel sheet, and then finally preparing a one-pager report through the RPA. So what the system does, we have a internal web page. In that internal web page, certain buttons are there. So our person goes and clicks on a button, and within 5 minutes that reports get generated. So that means in the background it fetches the information from the ERP, converts the data, works with the data in the Excel sheet, and then gives us the report as a result, final result.
Okay, what I came to know, for implementation RPA, there are tools like Blue Prism, UiPath, but we can also do these without RPA if we interact Power BI with our ERP system. So as you said, within a one click, we can generate report like that. Same in Power BI also we can do.
Yes, you are right. Power BI, you are absolutely right. In Power BI also you can automate a lot of reports. The only thing is that I think source from where the data has to come, there are differences in terms of what is the capability of Power BI versus in case of RPA, you can actually club multiple systems together. That's what my limited understanding talks about the difference
Yes,
between
yes,
the two.
yes, yes, right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we'll have the next question, which is from Somesh Kumar. So he says, thank you for a wonderful session. And his question is, how tough is it to start a small logistics company and compete with companies like 𝐸CART and DHL? Excellent.
Yeah, I think Mr. Ravindra will be able to give you a better understanding on that. One thing I'll be able to just touch upon on this question is, you are right that today, because of the competition, it is becoming very difficult to stay profitably in the market. You can start your organization, but to earn profit, it's a tough job because of the sheer competition with the biggies in the industry. Here, what you can think of is start small and target your industry segment, a specific industry segment. The best option for small size companies is to start with MSMEs. MSME constitute more than 50% of Indian economy, right? I don't have the exact percentage number right now, but I know that it's a large chunk. So, and with the MSMEs, obviously for them to afford a DHL and 𝐸CART, it is difficult because of the cost. So for MSMEs, they need services from small size player who will be able to provide them customized solution. Because obviously DHL, if you go for a customized solution, they will show you some big bunch of papers on SOPs. That as per my SOP, I cannot do it. So there you have the opportunity. So that will be my answer to the question. I'll request Mr. Ravindra if you like to add something.
No, well, actually, when you start small against giants, I mean, you have to provide very good service. I mean, service can become the differentiator. And of course, initially, you may have to prove yourself, not be able to earn that kind of a profit that, other biggies can earn. So I think as Dhriman rightly said, you work with SMEs, so they probably can respect you better. Larger organization probably will not respect you or entertain you. It is good opportunity to work with MSME. So I don't know, Somesh, are you starting to think about your own logistics company? Is that what you're thinking?
No, the question was on general level. I mean,
Okay.
nowadays the market, in every market there are giants, and then it is very tough, or I would say stressful to start a company, because then you go with the strategies of discount or lower price and all that. So I was checking in logistics because it is an evergreen area.
Yeah, so
I would say we have to
if,
move the material.
yeah, actually, if you see, every large company was small company sometime, No
Yes.
company became, no company was born large. And there is a period of struggle for any startup, I mean, you have to, of course, start small all the time, but there is a period of struggle. The only startup you can think about which is large is like Jio, Reliance Jio. They started only big. They didn't start small. But those are exceptions. So I think even for small players, there is opportunities. There is a niche opportunity. So I think you can work in that area.
And one thing I have observed is the ruthlessness. I mean, the bigger giants are now dominating the small markets. They are acquiring them. All those things are coming into picture. So that makes it a bit hard for small players.
Yeah,
So
but
I just wanted
so as Dhriman said, we have to give some customized service to company, and there probably will be a niche for you. So if you're small, so you draw your own niche, which the giants will not be able to serve.
That's true. Thank you for the wonderful answer,
Perfect.
Ravindra and Dhritima.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think this would motivate someone here in the group probably to start their own logistics company, and then Dhriman sir, you might get a proposal asking that to get a contract from Ingram Microsoft for that. Then.
Of course.
Perfect. So we'll take the last question. We have a raise hand from Mr. Dheeraj. So Mr. Dheeraj, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi,
You have
good evening,
queries.
sirs.
Yes.
Good
Sir,
evening.
as the panel have already discussed that in the logistics industry, the giants are taking over and there's a stiff competition. And since being a user or the customer of the logistics service provider, one problem which we as an industry professionals are currently facing is that, especially in the logistics industry, is that in a big corporate or something, we float tenders, we float RFQs for any contract. So, and we define the service level agreements and all those things. So, what is currently happening is that the giants are quoting very less. They are compromising on the service level parts and they take the contracts, they win the orders. But subsequently, what happens is that as a user, as a customer, we face a lot of issues in the daily management, etc., meeting the targets. Although there are provisions of penalties and recoveries in the contracts, but this becomes a very routine habit, and managing those recoveries, keeping the records is a cumbersome manage administrative task for the customers, for big companies. So, how to tackle this issue at the start itself, like while bidding process only? Because the management is mostly concerned about the cost. They generally, don't care about the after effects of taking a contract in a L1 price, but later on we suffer. That's the question, sir. How to tackle that?
Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful question because that's a practical question that most of the organizations do face, and most of us during some time in our supply chain career has also faced the same issue. So that clash between service and the cost, and how to convince the management. There is no right or wrong answer, and there is no straight cut answer for this. That if you apply this formula, you'll be 100% successful every time. Ask from the management will always be there in terms of finding a economical solution. I will not use the word cheaper because cheaper is a negative word. It's an economical solution. Uh, what we as practitioners of supply chain, we should keep on doing, and that's where I was actually repeatedly talking about the importance of data driven decision making. That when I use a particular service provider who has given me a quote which is much lower than others, and then he became my L1 and he has been awarded that particular service for us. If you already have experienced challenges in service, there is always a cost associated to the service. Start calculating that cost. Normally, when a shipment gets delayed to the customer, there is a cost that is involved with the delay. Now, it's up to you. How do you want to calculate that cost? One of the way we do calculate that cost is my 1 day sales loss to that customer. If on a monthly basis, I receive, for the ease of computation, say 300 crores of shipment I do with a particular customer, I consider that per day I do 10 crores of shipment. And I consider that that customer orders me every day. So if there is a delay, and because of the delay, customer is not going to place the next day the order to me, possibly the order will go to my competitor. Now, obviously for that, I look into some data pieces with that customer, etc. I'll try to convert that into a loss of business. Number two, it impacts my turnaround time, because the best of supply chain will have the smallest of turnaround time, right? That's how the supply chain efficiency comes in. Material comes and goes out, material comes and goes out. When there is a delay, then that delay impacts the entire supply chain. If my customer is not getting the material on time, that means he is not able to deliver the product on time to his end customer. So because of this delay in service, next time he will keep 1 day extra inventory with him. So that's his 1 day extra inventory carrying cost. So what we need to do in supply chain, next time when I go to my management with my justification that why I should not go with this guy even though he is L1, I need to show all this data instead of verbally explaining things to my management. So that may take some time, but I will suggest that that's the approach we should take. Otherwise, we will always have this argument that why I should go with lowest option because the services are not good, and management that way will not accept it unless and until you show some evidence that the cost of going with this particular L1 is here. This is the loss that I'm going to incur. This is the additional inventory carrying cost that I'm going to incur. This is the loss opportunity, cost of losing a business with the customer. So I think that's how it should be presented to the management.
Right, sir. Right. Thanks a lot, sir. I think
So I think
Excellent.
input will be helpful.
I think we do not have much time left now for more questions. So I request Nischint to give vote of thanks.
Correct. So, this was the last question. And thank you so much, Dhritimani sir, for first of all taking our time, accepting our invitation, and joining us as the guest for the 4th episode of SCM Talk Show, Season 4. And it was really great to listen to all the information, insights from you. And I'm sure a lot of people here will take value from it, get it implemented in their work life. And surely we see one startup coming up from this episode, it seems. And thank you so much, Ravindra sir, for once again being a wonderful host for the episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks to all the audience for joining in and making loving our show. Please keep spreading the word about it. The next episode, which is the 5th episode, is on 22nd of September. Kindly follow us on LinkedIn and all other social medias to stay updated on the topic and speaker for that show. If you have any suggestions, feel free to write to us, or for any queries, feel free to connect with us. So thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you so
and
much. Have
much,
a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.